Imagine you're in a room negotiating with government ministers around technology regulations. The stakes are high. Online access to an entire country hangs in the balance. Well, I don't have to imagine, because I was there. And I remember thinking, this has to be our red line. Throughout negotiations, I watched that line move quietly, steadily, until it finally disappeared. What began as a negotiation slowly became a farce. We weren't engaging in good faith anymore. And that's when I began to wonder if we ever were. One unspoken truth hung in the air. We could shut down your entire country with the flip of a switch. We had that power. But thankfully, we chose not to use it. That was in late 2022, somewhere between Europe and Asia. The country had survived an attempted coup, but was sliding towards repression. And there we were, a technology company, ready to compromise the freedoms of journalists and activists just to stay online. Whenever I think about the integrity of democracies, I think back to that moment. Not to the months I spent leading operations on the US election in 2022, or the Myanmar coup in 2021, or to the red teaming and intelligence reports I created for over 20 elections in 2024. No, I think back to that moment, to that negotiation, because that moment showed me something deeper, something more egregious, that power had shifted. That technology companies, the ones we rely on for communication, for truth, for community, now hold the balance of democracy in their hands. I've been in the Situation rooms for pivotal American elections, and I've watched recently in horror as disinformation took elections in Brazil, India, Pakistan, and Moldova. And recently here, earlier this year, in Germany, where misinformation spread faster than truth could reach parliament. I learned that democracy doesn't die in one dramatic moment. In this new age, it erodes through 1,000 digital cuts. You see, it starts with small compromises. A policy adjusted there, an exemption granted here, a request quietly honored in the name of stability. Before long, principled negotiation becomes complicity in repression. According to The Economist 2024 Democracy Index, representative democracy is no longer working for large numbers of people. Governments have grown estranged from the people. Anocracies, part democracy, part dictatorships, they are on the rise. Power is being outsourced to unelected bodies. German-American historian Hannah Arendt wrote, "A people that can no longer believe anything cannot make up its own mind. And with such people, you can then do with what you please." That's when I came to the realization, this isn't chaos, it's coordination. I call this conflict that's unfolding all around us the invisible war. And this war isn't fought with weapons, but it's fought with information, with algorithms, trade policy, and AI development. It's frontline shift with every feed we scroll through, every time we pick up our phones. The new weapons are disinformation, surveillance, and the concentrated power of a few technology companies. The battleground isn't land. It's our minds, it's our attention, our sense of shared reality. Only 7% of people today live in democracies. 70% of people live in flawed or authoritarian nation states. It's what The Economist calls a democracy recession. And it's not driven by tanks, it's driven by data, by manipulation, by strategic use of information and technology. I say that this is warfare without declaration, propaganda without borders, a conflict waged in the invisible realm of algorithms and attention, led by new types of nation states, ones that we unknowingly opted into. And I've seen how this plays out at home. In the United States, disinformation and surveillance have formed a dangerous feedback loop. Falsehoods justified new forms of monitoring and censorship. Federal agencies expanded domestic surveillance in the name of fighting fake news and extremism, outsourcing monitoring to private AI companies and AI contractors with very little oversight. In 2020, during the George Floyd protests, agents infiltrated Facebook groups and scraped public posts for indictments using memes and comments on posts. These are the same tactics that we use to fight violent extremists and terrorists. And now I see these same tactics being used at home against journalists, students, activists, everyday people. It's a modern-day McCarthyism, where fear replaces evidence and surveillance becomes a loyalty test. This isn't partisan hysteria, but I am afraid of this new normal. What makes me the most afraid as I stand out here looking at everyone in this room is that this is a systemic dismantling of oversight, accountability, and trust. In a country that used to export democratic values, it is now a case study in erosion of those values. And they're using social media and technology companies to amplify that erosion. And it's not just in the United States, it's happening in Venezuela, in Romania, in Pakistan, and Kenya. This cannot be our new normal. And yet it feels like it is. Technology is not our enemy, but it is powerful. In the right hands, it cures diseases, expands possibilities. In the wrong hands, as we've seen, it becomes a weapon, amplifier of fear, outrage, and control. The truth is, technology companies operate like nation states. They shape speech, define impact and identity for billions, except they answer to corporate boards and governments, but not to citizens. And let's be honest, they don't answer to you and me. We need to answer this question. This is going to be the defining question in my generation. Who governs the governors of the digital age? We need global accountability frameworks, not to smother innovation, but to align it with human dignity and democratic resilience. We desperately need safeguards for elections, transparency in AI, and actual collaboration between civil society and platforms, child safety regulation, and data privacy. Because while the world watches this new Cold War unfold between China and the US around who reaches AGI first, we're missing the bigger picture. This invisible war isn't just geopolitical, it's deeply personal. Every time we scroll, we're participating in a system that monetizes our attention. Outrage and fear generate engagement, and the algorithms learn how to feed us more of both. Platforms weren't designed to destroy democracy, but they are designed to keep us engaged. And when engagement rewards outrage, conspiracy, and division, the gap between intent and impact becomes catastrophic. Despite everything I'm saying, I'm a technology optimist, but I'm also a realist, because behind every algorithm is a human decision. And behind every human decision is a set of human values. And that's what scares me the most. It's not the technology itself. I think innovation is moving at a speed where we will see a new world unfold in the next few years. But it's the people and the governments that are eager and willing and excited to weaponize it. The leaders willing to sacrifice human rights and international laws to hit their bottom line. So, how do we fight back against the war that we can't see? How do we fight back against a war designed to keep us trapped in fear? I believe the answer is counter-momentum. And counter-momentum isn't about blaming one leader or one company. It's about redirecting energy through thousands of small, deliberate choices that reassert human agency over digital systems. Choices that make us talk, think, strategize, and hopefully move forward together. And this is a playbook for how we get there. 1, We need to reclaim attention. Every pause before we click or share is an act of sovereignty. 2, reject erosion. We don't all need to be fact checkers. That's my job. But we can be pattern recognizers. When something feels designed to enrage, to delight, or divide, pause, question, verify. Rebuild connection. Real conversation across divides is what authoritarian governments fear the most. Dialogue is messy, it's uncomfortable, and it's innately human. And it's the one thing that algorithms have not figured out how to replicate yet. And lastly, protect our data. Our data is the raw material of this invisible war. It's the lifeblood of every model, algorithm, and decision engine shaping our world. AI governance is data governance. Protecting our data is protecting democracy. Every digital trace we leave behind is being used to predict, persuade, or control. That's why I strongly believe that counter-momentum cannot stop with individuals. It must become resilient infrastructure. Because the answer to unregulated extraction is not disengagement, it's design. And if we want to redirect momentum at scale, we must build interoperable global guardrails, not as limits, but as the architecture of trust. We have to move beyond being satisfied with just having a human in the loop, beyond trusting that companies will do the right things for their customers. Because without guardrails, without laws, without accountability of a consequence, it's all talk. Good governance does not happen because we have good intentions. It happens because we have accountability frameworks in place. We have laws in place. Guardrails are not a nice to have. They're a must have. Global standards with accountability are not optional. They are the price of trust. And responsible innovation, no matter who is creating the technology, is the only way that we win. Because the truth is, humanity's progress has always outrun its ethics. For centuries, we built faster than we reflected. Profit over peace, growth over governance, innovation over integrity. We made fortunes from the engines of war and called it progress. This time, I know we can do better. We have to. We must. There is no other future unless we build it together. The micro choices of individuals sitting in this room become the building blocks of systems that last. Because counter-momentum isn't just resistance, it's construction. It's how we build the future deliberately, responsibly, together. And Gen Z is doing just that. In Nepal, Madagascar, and in Morocco, young people turned Discord and TikTok into digital town squares, organizing, mobilizing, and demanding change. They're proving that the same tools once used to divide us are being used to unite us, reminding us that truth still has architects. They're showing us what counter-momentum looks like in real time. I know the resilient infrastructure for truth can be built. And it requires investment. It requires political will. It requires accountability. And most importantly, it requires collaboration. I strongly believe that momentum can be redirected. I believe that truth can still scale. I also know that truth can be profitable. For me, this is bigger than politics. It's bigger than one country. It's bigger than one voting bloc, one corporation. It's about who writes the story of our future. It's about using the playbook to move us forward. It's about rejecting the invisible war that's unfolding all around us. We have to reclaim attention. We have to reject erosion. We have to rebuild our communities, and we must protect our data. If we do that, we ensure that there's no inevitability and that we take control of momentum. The direction of momentum is ours to choose. towards fear or towards truth. The invisible war does not have to defeat us. And the counter momentum movement can begin right here, right now, today. There is no time to waste. Thank you.